Hey everyone, welcome to the number one show in California. No, just kidding, not yet. Dad's turn to talk.
It's
I
not
am
even
your.
a number one on our own YouTube
I
subscriptions.
just like saying that. Anyway, I'm your moderator tonight, Josh. And before we get started, I just want to, run a couple of things. First of all, if you like our show, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. And also, we've been putting timestamps on our videos. So if there's a segment that you want to skip over and get to a little quicker, go ahead and do that. Before I introduce my gentleman, I just kind of want to start off on a somber note tonight. As you know, tonight is the 23rd anniversary of 9/11. Uh, Probably one of the darkest days in American history. Derek and I were at U of A when it happened. I remember waking up to a phone call from my mother yelling, saying they've taken over, they've commandeered planes and basically launched them into the World Trade Center. And I was like, what? And, I was a political science major at the time. We were trying to figure out what was going on, and just an unbelievably dark day. I know my two guests will probably say something about it. And just want to say one final thing. As you know, on Monday, September 9th, we had the untimely passing of one of the greatest actors we've known, James Earl Jones, passed away at age 93. As you know, he was the voice of Darth Vader. He was in Lion King, Coming to America. I mean, he was amazing and just an awesome actor. And to his family, we give our condolences, and may he rest in peace. All right, let me get to my two comrades over here. Let's start out with Bobo. Bob, how's it going, my friend?
Doing okay. It's like you said, it's the anniversary of 9/11, so my condolences go out to all of the families that are still dealing with that. Also, like you said, I remember where I was at that time as well, and it definitely was shocking. It's just something I'll never forget. But you know, it's good to be alive and be where we're at now. So. Again, my condolences to the family. I also did a tribute to James Earl Jones over on my channel. Go check it out. And just real quick. So the other night, I started watching that new anime Terminator show, Terminator Zero, over on Netflix. It's actually pretty good. I finished it, and
Really?
I liked it so much that I went and started watching Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles. I never actually saw that when it came out on TV.
Yeah.
And one episode away from finishing the first season. I can already say this is, if I had watched this before we did that episode a couple of weeks ago, this would have been on my list for shows that should have gotten a renewal. Because
Really? Wow.
this is pretty good. And I can't understand why I didn't watch it at the time. The only thing I can think of is because it was all different actors. It didn't have Arnold in it. Maybe that was why I wasn't interested. But yeah, it's a pretty dang good show.
Very cool. All right. Well, thank you for that. Derek had a very fun week. Got to catch his favorite Niners team take out the Jets. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But Derrico, you guys had a birthday party earlier this week that you sent me some pictures. Look crazy, fun. What's going on?
I needed that football game in order to drown out the memories of the Sharky inflatable jumpy house that I saw. It was monstrous. Bob, I'll send you a photo.
Yeah, it's huge.
I have never seen anything like this, and I don't want to see anything like this ever again. Happy birthday to you, youngster, but that's the last time that happens.
It's okay when it's at somebody else's house. It's
they had it at a park. It was at a park.
Yeah, we had it at a park, but we still dropped money on it. And
yeah,
they're expensive.
That's the point.
Did we have this, guys, when we were little? I don't remember. I remember going to the bowling alley, and we never had these giant inflatables,
well,
right?
They had the jumpy houses.
They had them around.
I
remember.
Yeah, I remember going in there and jumping.
Yeah.
Yeah, but later on.
And this was last week.
Yeah. We had them at your kid's birthday, Bob.
Yeah.
You and I did. I remember that. That's funny.
It's
No, but
actually
no,
how
they
Bob-
had them. I remember jumping around in them when we were young. So
That's actually how Bob watches football. He gets in the bouncy house, just starts jumping around. Yahoo!
gotta do something to keep myself entertained.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. All right. Well, then, very good, gentlemen. Well, why don't we get the show started? Our first thing we're going to talk about is, as you know, was the NFL season opened up last Thursday, week 1. Bob, go ahead and hit us up. Very cool.
Nicely done.
Very cool. Bunch of highlights there for everyone, and yeah, let's get started. Why don't we start with you, Bobo? Week 1 in the books. What are some of your thoughts? What did you maybe like? What did you not like? What shocked you? Fill us in, buddy.
Well, the rookie quarterbacks looked like rookie quarterbacks. We'll put it that way.
Mhm.
Boy,
Sure
did Caleb
did.
Williams.
NFL.
We'll get into that a little bit later, but Caleb Williams, yeah, he looked like a rookie quarterback. Jaden Daniels had a much better day, even though they lost, simply because of his ability to create on the ground, and
Right.
so I think he had 2 touchdowns. It was so he looked pretty good. Bo Nix, I mean, he looked okay, but he looked like a rookie. As far as some of the games, obviously, I thought that Eagles-Packers game was pretty dang good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Too bad about Jordan Love, but thankfully, it wasn't anything super serious. My guess is he'll miss a couple of weeks at least.
Right.
They said a month.
But they're saying they're not ruling him out for this week just yet.
Well, I thought they put him on IR. They didn't put him on IR?
They're still figuring that out with him.
Interesting.
So, let's see
Malik
what else.
Willis was playing for him, right? If he played, Malik Willis is the backup.
Yeah, they already said that they just announced today that Malik Willis will start if Jordan Love can't go.
Okay. Got it.
Let's see. The Buccaneers looked pretty good. Your favorite guy, Baker Mayfield, Derek. I mean, he looked great. But that's a team that's loaded on the offense. They got some great receivers. The addition of McMillan from Washington, I thought was a good pick in the draft. And you add him to with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, that's already a good offense. And then of course Rachaad White. So I mean that they look pretty good. The 49ers, of course, they looked pretty dominant for most of that game, except for an offsides penalty that allowed the Jets to get a free score there. That score would have been much lower than what it was.
That was
I
garbage
thought-
time. Whatever with that.
I also thought that the Lions and Rams was a pretty good game.
Yeah.
It's too bad that it ended the way that it did, just with the Lions driving down the field and ending it. I would have liked to have seen the Rams get a shot at it too.
Yeah.
And then one last thing, there were a lot of questions, a couple things. There were a lot of questions about Josh Allen, how he was going to do with that receiving core. Well, he was still Josh Allen. I mean, there's no other way to put it. And then on the in that Houston Colts game, the CJ Stroud still was doing CJ Stroud things, but we talked about this. The addition of Joe Mixon, I think, is a good pick for them, and that really adds some more to the running game for this team. So they're going to be a powerhouse team. And overall, I mean, those are just some initial thoughts.
Okay. Derek, tell us what you thought about the weekend.
Well, I do want to give a shout out to the official opener, Thursday's game with the Chiefs and the Ravens. That was a dandy. That was a really good one.
It was really good.
I was hooked pretty much the whole time.
Talk about it being a game of inches.
Yeah.
All by
Not
the
even no, that came down to centimeters. What are we talking inches about?
I mean, if they didn't have instant replay, the Ravens win that game.
I wish I would have had a clip of Al Pacino from Any Given Sunday where he's going, "We fight for that inch. We claw for that inch."
You sound like Mickey from Rocky, though.
No, but that's how he sounds in that scene.
We don't play as a team. We will die as individuals.
That is such a great speech. But no, I think that would have been perfect because, yeah, I mean, seriously, that's that inch right there.
I know. And that was the thing is that I'm going to get to what I was wrong about and what I was right about in a minute, but that was a dandy. That was a great way to open the season. Yeah. And like Bob said, the next day you get, Philly and Green Bay. I wish that field would have done them a little more justice, but that's a different
discussion. It was in good shape. Was not a good field.
But does that really surprise anybody anytime they seem to go overseas? Well, maybe not overseas, but when they when they go down south, it's because they're always ending up on these fields that they just don't take care of because a lot of those places, they're not designed for football. They're designed they're designed for their football.
Yeah, I was about to say,
for us. So, so they're not cared for in the same way that a field is here for that sport.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Mexico a couple of years ago. What was it? The Cardinals and Raiders? It was a horrible field.
Yeah.
Just horrible. I would say Germany does a pretty good job, and probably London.
Germany also has a little bit more better weather that's suited for football, which may have something to do with how the grass grows out there. I don't know, but there is that flavor to it.
They don't do field turf there. They do grass. So
yeah.
They do a good job. Any negatives, Derek, you saw with your Niners, even though they played great? Any concerns coming into the season at all that you could tell since you were there?
I got plenty of
about the positives first about your 49ers. He just started off with the negative.
Oh, because we know the positives. They did amazing.
Well, no, I'll start off with the negatives just to make Josh happy. Because we're going to kick the tar out of his team later this season. I definitely have concerns. Because if they can't get it done this year, this is going to be it with this roster.
Really?
This is final shot. With this squad, yes.
But Shanahan isn't on the hot seat, right? He's
not on the hot seat because he's been to the NFC Championship and Super Bowl too many times. It's just the fact that now he's got a roster that's A, getting old, and B, costs too much. And Brock Purdy's going to have all the ammunition he needs to come in and say, "I want my $60 million and I want it now."
Yeah,
and he'll get it.
Yeah, he will.
Get it.
If he gets as far as we're thinking he's going to get. I mean, I know I called him the Super Bowl, but you guys, I think, called him pretty high up there too. I think one said the Super Bowl, the other said the playoffs. I mean, like the NFC Championship game. If he gets there again, he should absolutely get his $60 million. He's been playing for like $10 a game at this point.
I agree, and I see more good stuff from him versus Prescott, who just got paid. Like, it's just astonishing.
Well, this is what we were talking about too. What Josh, you and I had a discussion earlier about this. If there's one thing you can always appreciate Brock Purdy for, he will always make the right decision. Almost always makes the right decision of who to throw to. Or how to execute. He always has a good view and good intelligence when it comes to plays, generally. So that's the one thing you can appreciate about Brock Purdy. So that's my biggest concern. McCaffrey is always a concern. He tends to get pretty banged up, but he seems like it seems like it's not going to be too much longer until we see him back in. I'm a huge Jordan Mason fan. I've been a fan of that guy for a while, and I just love the fact that he finally got his opportunity. Put me in, coach, and he did a great job.
He looks great.
Yeah, where did he go to school, Bob? Why am I drawing
Georgia Tech?
Okay.
What else did I like? Defense looked good. I think that the defense actually made a deal with themselves where they're like, "Look, guys, Aaron Rodgers is back. he had a rough go. He's a respectable enough guy in our eyes. So you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do the nicest thing in the world for him. We're not gonna let him see the field, and he didn't. Time of possession was 38 minutes. Yeah, 38 minutes to 19 minutes.
It's the Jets. We still got the Jets. Come on.
There's that.
I still think I still think you're dogging on them too much because I don't think they looked that bad. I just think that the 49ers are that much better.
We'll see next week. Who do the Jets play? The Titans?
Yeah, I think so.
Actually, the one thing that we tend to forget about here is that the Jets' schedule was looking very on their upside. They could walk away probably with about 5 straight wins if they play.
Should be a playoff team. Based on their roster, they should be a playoff team.
Plus, you got to keep in mind, though, that the Jets are going to have to gel together because you're going to have to develop some chemistry. Think about Tom Brady, his first year with the Bucs. That first half of the season, they didn't look that good. Nobody thought they were going to go to the Super Bowl. And then all of a sudden, they hit their stride. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets do as well. The Jets have a pretty good roster. They just need to pull it together. I just think San Francisco's that much better than them.
Here's the thing about San Francisco, and there's really only about 2 other teams that can say this. Every other team out there is still trying to find their identity, and sometimes that takes a while. It doesn't just happen all the time in week 1, game 1. Sometimes you got to wait till week 4. Maybe you don't even hit your stride until game 6. That's probably about as late as you want to go with that.
Right.
There's maybe 3 teams that do that. The Niners are one, the Chiefs are the other, and probably the Ravens are the third.
I agree.
2 of those teams played each other this week. I think everybody else is still trying to get it figured out.
Okay.
But I will say, can I just do a couple of things about what I was wrong about, what I was right about?
Yeah.
I do think that I was I was definitely wrong about the Commanders, even though I do agree with you, Bob. I think Jaden had a better day than people are giving him credit for.
Yeah.
But I still thought that they should have played more competitive than that. I mean, they eventually started making some things happen, but
we'll give them some time. You see, here's the thing. I don't think they're necessarily going to be a playoff team. I just think that they've got I think as the season goes on, they're going to get better and better.
Okay.
And
that's fair.
And I think they've got the pieces there. And I think Jaden Daniels, for his first game on the road, looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, was he great throwing the football? No, but he looked better than Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams was like 12 out of or 29 or something like that. It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I'll get to that in a minute. The one thing I was also wrong about is that I thought the Bengals were actually going to show up to play football.
Yeah, that I was going to mention that. I'm shocked.
Okay, here's my thought on the Bengals real quick.
Okay.
I think the Bengals, you had Burrow out all last year, so he's, still got some rust he's got to get off. Jamar Chase sat out most of the preseason, including, during camp and drills because he wanted that new deal. And so I'm sure that played into it as well. They were missing T. Higgins. They lost Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
So, this is a team that same thing. They're going to have to gel together. And I think they will.
Yeah, they were depleted.
I think they will.
You should have beaten the Patriots.
I think the Patriots are better than what people are going to give them credit for because I think that coach,
OJ Mayo.
Yeah, he's going to have the philosophy of running the football. And Ramondre Stevenson, this guy can play. I mean, a lot of people don't realize how good he is running the football.
And he's got OJ Mayo's got the defensive pedigree, Bob. I guess I was shocked, but now as we're discussing it, I shouldn't be because if that defense plays, how OJ Mayo can coach them, then maybe we're wrong. And
I think they're going to be okay.
Maybe New England will be good. Okay, Derek, what else?
Yeah, I do have, and I'll just say one more thing that I didn't get right, and then I'll get on the stuff I did get right. Bob made a great point about the Colts. I was not expecting them to be all that in a bucket of chicken. Even though they didn't get the win, they played Houston tooth and nail.
They did.
They did a great job. And so I think Bob's right. I think we have to be on the lookout for that team. What's that receiver's name? Pierce?
No. Well, Pierce, it looks pretty good. And then, of course, he plays opposite of Pittman. And they were missing Josh Downs. So
They
Yeah.
have a team.
plus, they got Jonathan Taylor, and they got Richardson back. Now, I'm not as high on Richardson when it comes to throwing the football, but the guy can create with his legs, and I think he's going to get better throwing the football.
No,
I
but
thought
he
he
has a
came out of.
You didn't
I
see
thought he came out. I've told Josh since day one, I thought he came out of college a year too early. I thought that he could have benefited from another year because he just didn't impress me throwing the football in college. But he's got a cannon for an arm. I just think he needed to work on his accuracy. But I will say this, boy, can he create with his legs. And when he is on, like I said, he's got a cannon. So this is a team that's going to be very competitive.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, fully agree. I will get on to what I was right about. I'm thinking I'm pretty right about Caleb. Was it just me? Do you watch that? You watch those highlights?
No, I think
game.
I think the roster is there, and I think they're going to pull it together. I think he just looked like a rookie.
I didn't say the roster. I said him.
No, probably there's a bunch of things he would never.
But I will say this: there are some rookies that come out and they look a lot more competent than what Caleb looked.
Yeah.
Caleb did not look the part. We'll put it that way. He didn't look like the number 1 overall pick. Let's put it that way.
Well, no, he certainly didn't.
Well, that's not true. He looked like a number 1 overall pick that was a bust.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying he's a bust. I'm just saying that's what he looked like.
Okay.
But let me just say this. I was going to bring this up during my turn, but I'll just say it now.
Okay.
It's amazing because, we watch all these games, like Bob and I watch all these college games, and we see these quarterbacks playing college, and we're like, oh, they're so good. And then they get number 1 pick and they go to the NFL, and it's just amazing. What a different player, every one of them. I mean, I've watched every one of Caleb Williams' games, and, he had to make things happen on the field, Derek. And it shows in the NFL, it's a much different game. No matter, even Trevor Lawrence, who was okay, but he struggled. They all really struggle, until they can kind of get up to speed with that. And I think Bobby will agree with me on that. I don't think he's a bust.
No.
At all, because we don't even know, he played his one game, they won. But he even
on
said
defense and special teams.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
He did not play well. And, these games NFL is much faster. And remember, these guys come in and, they're running tempo and, no huddle. And you don't do that in the NFL. NFL is totally different. And, we've talked about for years, Derek, how Tim Tebow, I've always said that he actually was coached at Florida. He had Urban Meyer, but their offensive coordinator at the time was Dan Mullen, who later became the coach of Florida. And scouts went to them and said, put him under center. Let's see what he can do under center. And Dan Mullen was like, oh, no, we're running our system. And he struggled in the NFL. And that's the thing. The NFL is such a game changer for these.
Hey, in all fairness to Tebow, the man has a playoff win. So there's a lot of quarterbacks in the league who've been there for years. They can't. But
he
still never won a playoff game.
You have to really. College is so much different than the pros.
That was an ungodly, long-winded answer to making excuses for a USC kid.
Yeah.
For Caleb, you just don't like him because he went to USC.
No, I don't like him because I don't think he's good.
Wow. You don't think he's good?
What'd you see?
I saw a rookie quarterback in his first game struggle just like Peyton Manning did.
Yeah, I will say this. A lot of people forget that Peyton Manning threw, 28 interceptions?
28 interceptions, went 3-13 his first year.
Yeah, so, there's nothing wrong with that, with struggling. But I will say this. He looked like a rookie, and they were praising him throughout the preseason. And, of course, because Josh watched Hard Knocks, Josh thinks that they were going to be a playoff team.
No. Hold on a second.
No. Every time Josh watches Hard Knocks, he swears to me how good the teams are. Or when he watches a documentary, he'll call me up and be like, I watched Coach Prime. And because I watched Coach Prime, Colorado is
the Giants' year.
Even you said, Bob, on paper, the Bears are a good team.
No, I said on paper.
We all said that.
Because all the
what
pieces are there to succeed. But I have said multiple times, I thought the Bears made a mistake by getting rid of Justin Fields. He was already situated with that team. The fan base actually liked him.
Yeah.
And as the year was going on last year, he seemed to be getting a lot more confident and performing a lot better last year. So I think they made a mistake by starting over. Now, all the pieces are there for him to be a success. So as the season goes on, I'm sure he's going to get better. I don't doubt that. It just remains to be seen how good he will be. And I've told you this, Josh, I still think Jaden Daniels is going to have a better year.
We'll see.
I'll say two more things, and then Josh, I'll go to take it away. Yeah. I think I got fairly proven. I wish I could have seen this game. Arizona and Buffalo.
Yeah, you're right about Arizona.
Yeah, I think they're on the uptick. I think that they should be taken seriously.
Yeah.
Real quick, Derek, just a comment on the Arizona Buffalo game.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think Arizona's an up and coming team.
Yeah.
Right.
That being said, I also think that the Bills defense is not as good as what it's been in years past. And I think that the Cardinals defense isn't very good either. So I think the Cardinals and the Bills both this year are going to be involved in a lot of shootouts because I think their offenses are going to carry them.
Potentially, but at the same time, this goes back to the identity thing. They may just need a couple of weeks to figure this out.
True.
And if they can, right the wrongs, it's a dark horse team. Just don't take them lightly. And
no. They got some good pieces there.
Yeah, how did Marvin Harrison Jr. do?
He had like one catch or two
catches. He didn't have Hollywood wasn't Hollywood. But he had a catch, yes, something like that. But I will also say another team not to slouch on, and Bob mentioned this, but God, it got really reinforced. Minnesota ain't a bunch of slouches.
No, Darnold
that division is going to be absolutely outstanding.
Yeah.
That was great. That was fun. That was, the Vikings, I've never had a beef with them. They've always kind of been that underdog that's been lying around in the NFC North. But good for them for being contenders. They're going to be that this year. So right on. Good stuff.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Lots of stuff from me. We kind of discussed some of it. Start out Baltimore and Kansas City. Great game. Excellent game. I thought, Mahomes played well. I thought Derrick Henry played well. Lamar Jackson. Was kind of expecting a little bit more fast pace coming from Baltimore, especially with those two. Was, thinking they would get it to Derrick Henry a little bit more. But, those teams are the two probably best teams in the AFC right now. Like Derek said, between the Niners, Kansas City, and Baltimore. Team that surprised me with the loss was Atlanta, losing to Pittsburgh at home. I thought with, Cousins and London and Kyle Pitt and those guys and a new defense that they would have, it's almost like, and I don't want to use the term that they played down to, Pittsburgh, but I don't know. I just expected that they would win that game. And don't get me wrong, Pittsburgh played great. I think
they just need to gel together too. I think that's what we saw a lot of, because keep in mind, a lot of these teams, their starters don't play in the preseason anymore. Right. They just turn around and say, well, as long as they've got those joint practices in, that's as good as a scrimmage. It's as good as a preseason game. And so you've got players that have they didn't get reintroduced to game experience or reps or game reps until week one. And a lot of teams looked like they were rusty. Give them a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, you're going to see very different looking teams.
No, I agree. Then we had the huge fiasco with the Dolphins and the Jaguars, which I was texting both of you, thought the Dolphins were going to lose. And then you had the whole Tyreek Hill incident. That was a mess. But at least Miami, came back. That was a good win for us. They've got Buffalo tomorrow night. Jacksonville, another team that, thanks. Who's that college team is 0-2? Mine? Oh, no, yours.
Hey, in all fairness, we did not lose this past week.
Yeah. So that was interesting. Loved the Rams-Lions game. Thought that was a great game.
Can I ask you a question about that though?
Yeah.
Didn't Detroit not play as good as they should have?
No, they did not. Detroit did not look as good as they did, and that's where my point was. They looked very rusty, a lot like the Dolphins did. The Dolphins looked extremely rusty. The Dolphins should have won that game a lot bigger. It took them until about the third or quarter, or even into the fourth quarter, before they really got themselves in a position to win that football game.
But to be fair, you could also make the case they didn't play well, and they still won.
Yeah. They still won, and then the poor Rams. They're down some offensive linemen. They lost Puka Nacua for at least 4 weeks, maybe more,
maybe longer.
Yeah. So what can you say?
They got bit by They got bit by the injury bug
pretty early.
And remember what
Packers with Jordan Love. I mean, it just
No, I know. And remember what I told you guys a couple weeks ago about the Lions? I said that they can't be cocky. They can't, they have to, and they struggled, but they did come out with a win.
I don't think cocky had anything to do with it. They didn't look cocky. They just looked rusty.
Yeah, they look shaky. They look like things were connecting. They need time to gel.
The Eagles looked great. Saquon Barkley, good God, and we're going to discuss the Giants a little later, so I don't want to.
But it took Philly to shake off it was about a quarter and a half where they really needed to get it together.
Yeah, it was a good game.
They had to shake off the rust. There were so many teams that had to shake off rust. I mean, Jalen Hurts, what was it? He had, 2 interceptions and then a fumble? So, I mean, and then he could have had another interception as well. There was one that he threw it right to one of the defenders in the end zone, and the guy dropped it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's rough.
And I'm trying to think if there's any other matchups that we didn't cover that I was like, I agree totally with Derek about Arizona. I do think there's talent there.
Give Bo Nix some time too. Give him some time.
Oh, I think he's going to be great for Denver.
That's a tough place to walk into and be dominant in week 1, game 1 for a rookie.
Carolina, just terrible.
We'll get into that in a minute.
Yes, we will
discuss that, but just absolutely atrocious. Tampa looked great. Trying to think who else.
Well, Baker, he was baking out there. I'm telling you.
I know. I mean, I think.
Oh wait, now I'll be a fan.
What you guys?
In all fairness, Josh is my witness. I've always thought highly of Baker Mayfield. Doesn't mean I'm a fan. It just I've always thought highly of him. I'm
odd man. I'm odd man out here.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, I think he can play. I thought he was taking too much heat from the media when the man took him to the playoffs. Yeah. And didn't they actually win a playoff game?
Yes.
So I'm like, first time in how long? And they're dogging him like he's the worst quarterback ever. I never got that.
And have you seen there's been videos out there of Bradley Cooper from The Hangover, and he's like pretending they're the Browns calling Baker and saying, Baker, we effed up. Can you come back? So that was interesting. What did you guys think before we kind of go on to the next topic? Cowboys and Browns. What did you guys think?
Cowboys look great.
Yeah. They always week 1.
Look, the Cowboys have a decent roster. The Cowboys' problem is I don't think that roster's built to win a championship.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the problem.
The other day too. I think. Didn't you say that, Derek?
They've got some good pieces. CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Dak. Well, I know people love to dog him, but the guy can play.
No, he can't. What I said about the Cowboys is that they're going to be 12-5, no playoff run, the end.
Yeah.
So they're starting their way to 12-5.
I will say having Diggs back on defense helps them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. Okay.
And they're still going to have a good pass rush.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, that was a very interesting week 1 recap. Very good. Can't wait for, week 2. Baba, why don't we go on to our next topic?
All right.
So
There it is.
doing something different, game that Bobo came up with, pull or play. These couple of teams we specifically did not really mention in our last segment about the week 1 recap of the NFL, but now we can talk about it. So Bob, how do you want to put up one of them and then
All right,
or how
well,
do we
we'll just talk with him. So the first one's Daniel Jones. The question is, do we pull him or play him after that week 1 performance?
Okay. Eric?
So what do you think, Derek? We pull him or play him?
Yeah, you can pull him.
Yeah, we're not doing anything today. Let's just pull them.
Well, I mean, okay, we've talked about this before on this very program where we definitely made mention of it. It's not like we are expecting probably a lot from him, and we all knew that this was probably going to be, handle business or get off the pod. And
Right.
it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So if that's the case and you already see the inevitable, then okay, on your way.
Okay. Bob, what do you think? Pull or
I'm going to
play?
say play him. And the reason I'm going to say play him is because I don't know who the heck you got behind him. Because
Is DeVito?
and what'd you say?
DeVito? Remember
Maybe.
DeVito?
Yeah, it might be. So here's my issue and why I would continue to play him. He's in that contract year. You're trying to figure out if you got anything with him. Like I said, so many of these teams look like they were rusty on week 1. You're breaking in a brand new rookie wide receiver. You've got a brand new running back with Devin Singletary. Now, let me preface this by saying when I play to play him, the leash is very short. I would say it's maybe 2 or 3 weeks at most, because one thing is clear. He's losing the fan base. Well, not losing. He's lost the fan base. Let's put it that way. Like there were people waiting just to boo him when he came out of the locker room after the game was over. So, yeah, I would say play him just a couple weeks longer. And if you don't see what you like, then go ahead and bench him at that point. But I'm going to say play him.
Okay, I'm going to say something that I will never say again on this podcast with this percentage. 150% I agree with Derek. You pull the guy. I've watched him at Duke. Bob, you watched him at Duke. I don't get the hype with this guy. The guy has not done anything. I think he got lucky 1 year in what's his name? What's the coach's name? Oh God, what's the Giants coach's name? Why am I drawing a blank?
Ryan,
Abel.
Right.
yeah.
I don't know if they basically inherited Joe Judge's team that year, and that's why they figured it out and made the playoffs. But
He was hurt all last year too, so he's also shaking off some rust.
No, but still, come on.
That's why I'm saying it's a very short leash. I'm talking maybe two weeks at most. You better see some improvement after a couple weeks.
And then they get rid of Saquon Barkley.
That's another problem.
Like, are you kidding me? What are you doing? You pick up Neighbors, who's great, but you need somebody to throw him the ball. Who's their tight end
You have
right
Danny
now?
Dimes.
Like, this Giants team is so, they're not great.
They don't look like the team that made the playoffs a couple years ago. Let's put it that way.
No, I
Definitely
don't
no.
have their team. That's
Well,
how interested I am in them.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, Bob does make a good point about having other pieces to the puzzle here, but you need a quarterback in order to help you utilize those pieces. And I don't see him having much success actually making anything out of that.
I'm actually looking up.
At the end of the day, he's probably going to get pulled. I think that. But I'm just saying that I would give him at least a couple more weeks. That's just me.
All right, fair enough.
I mean, I'm just trying to look real quick at their roster to see who am I missing that,
They do have a couple of players. They do.
Darius Slayton.
Yep.
Wendell Robinson. Singletary, Neighbors. I mean, it's bad.
Drew Lock is their backup quarterback.
I mean, they are not. Oh, is it? I mean,
so there you go. There's my point right there.
No, their defense is they got Brian Burns. That's right. They have Thibodeau from Oregon. They have pieces on defense. It's their offense that I just cannot. Yeah, I mean,
All
they
right,
did.
with those, okay, but we're talking about the quarterback itself. And my point is that, he's got some pieces around him. Give him a couple weeks to see if they can gel together, because I guarantee you're not going to get that much better performance out of Drew Lock. And maybe DeVito as a young player, maybe he's better than what people think, but
No.
I'm just saying you don't have really much behind him. So at least give him a couple more weeks is what I'm saying.
Okay.
All right, next one.
Deshaun Watson. Pull him.
Go ahead, Bobo.
I'm going to say pull him.
Of course you are.
No. I have very specific reasons for this.
Yeah, I bet you do.
I do. Ever since he stopped getting massages, he has not looked as good as he used to. Look, here's his problem. He sat out an entire year for Houston. He was suspended for almost an entire year. Then he was hurt all of last year.
That's who
Give me
Bob
a
wants.
second. I'm getting there.
That's who Bob wants.
I'm
That's
getting there. Hold on.
begging for.
I'm getting there. So, okay. So you've got that problem that he's hardly played in 3 years. You look at the team and the way they're responding to him. There was a moment where he went over to try to help one of his own teammates up in the game, and the guy turned around and told him to get away from him.
That's bad.
I mean, that's one of his own teammates turned it around and said that. Now, that brings me to my next point. There's one man who can bring this team together, and that is Jameis Winston. And here's why I say that. The man is the king of the pregame speech and the king of the postgame speech.
Right there.
But here's a fact about Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston, we've talked about the interceptions. They did not care about the interceptions last year with Flacco. And the reason why they didn't care is because their system is set up that way for their quarterback to ball. And Winston can bomb it down the field, and he's got some weapons to work with. So you turn around, you let him do his thing. You get interceptions. Yes, you're going to get the bad that comes with it. But the one thing that most people agree on is that the team likes him, just like they did in New Orleans. The team liked him. The organization likes him. The fan base likes him. They do not like they do not like Watson. And Watson just it turns out he's getting sued now for one of the incidents in his with the massages and all of that stuff. So it's like at some point it's just become too much of a distraction, and I just don't see him pulling it together. So I'm going to say pull him. Turn it over to Jameis.
All right, Derico.
Bob, you made a heck of a case. That I'll give you. That I will give you. And this is the most difficult one, probably out of the list that we're working with here. I think you have to play him. And I'll explain why.
Okay.
There's too much guaranteed money with his contract.
That's why they're going to play him.
Exactly.
I'm saying to pull him.
Oh,
I agree with you. They will keep playing him. They got too much money in it.
If they try to open up that can of worms, they're gonna get yanking down and sucked down like a kraken just took a boat and started eating it that deep down in the ocean. I mean, it'd be nice. Everything you said does make sense, but I think this is the one where I just had to roll more with reality. And the money's just talking here, unfortunately.
Let me tell you.
In all fairness, they pulled Russell Wilson, even with all his guaranteed money in Denver. So,
but his clock was running out on his contract.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know what Deshaun's is.
That's what I'm curious to see, how long that his clock is, because the fan base keeps waiting for something with him, and unfortunately, he missed a big portion of the year of that first one because of suspension, and then because of injury. And he came out and laid an egg in week 1.
Yep.
So
he looked bad.
I'm going to give you guys obviously mine, and I know Bob. If I say one thing, he'll say, no, you got to give us a true answer. So the true answer for me is I would pull him. However, I agree with Derek. They're not going to.
Well, I just said that they're not going to.
Because of this, it's like the shiny Lamborghini. Jimmy Haslam, the owner, he had Baker. They made the playoffs. All of a sudden, they're like, "Oh, we want Deshaun Watson." He was thinking he was getting the Deshaun Watson that they had in Houston and they had in Clemson. That didn't happen.
Nope.
That ship has sailed, and now they're struggling. I mean, Flacco had a great year for them last year, but guess what? Guess who's back? Watson. And again, can't do anything about it.
And I'm convinced that that's why they didn't re-sign Flacco, is because they didn't want
of course.
Fans wanting Flacco. So you bring in a quarterback like Jameis, who can get the job done if something were to happen. And at the same time, he doesn't have the love from the city the way Flacco did, because Flacco took him to the playoffs.
Yep.
So the fan base was already going to be antsy to have Flacco come in at any moment. So they did this hoping that, the fan base wouldn't be calling for Watson to get benched, but the fan base seems to be really warming up to Jameis Winston. So, I mean, I'm just spouting facts. Every time the guy gives a post-game interview or a post-practice interview or something, everybody's tuning in. Even Pat McAfee had him on his show saying, "Man, this guy gives the best speeches everywhere. He should be a preacher."
Look who he's got now. He's got Jerry Jeudy. He's got Amari Cooper. He's got David Njoku. He's got, hopefully, Nick Chubb will be back. I mean, for Jameis to be successful, this is the way to go.
You would have the team.
I mean, he's got the team.
Speaking of which, Njoku got hurt,
but he'll also throw 8 interceptions.
Speaking of which, Njoku's going to be out this week. He's
banged up. But I'm just saying in general.
No, but you're right. The pieces are there. He's going to have some pieces to work with. I mean, we dog Jameis because of the interceptions, but we forget that he threw for 5,000 yards in one season. He's one of only a handful of quarterbacks to do that. I mean, so the guy can ball. He just makes some mistakes. And hopefully, if he gets an opportunity, he can pull that together. But especially since he had the LASIK surgery. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I say pull him. But I do agree with you, too. They are going to keep playing Watson because of that money.
Let me just say this. Derek might agree with me on this. I think if Deshaun Watson was in a system like Kyle Shanahan's system, I think he'd be a little bit better than what he is now. Versus, I don't think
he's not ready to play a Shanahan system at all.
No, but I just don't think he can play with the Stefanski system. I don't know.
A lot of it, I gotta be honest though, and as much as I will want to see Winston come in, a lot of it is also the fact that he's hardly played in 3 years. So, I mean,
it's rust.
It's rust, but will he ever get back to that level?
No. No, he won't.
Did he play preseason at all?
What's that?
Did he play in preseason at all?
I don't think so.
See, he should have been playing in preseason.
So, yeah, because I think Winston started 2 of the games, and Dorian Thompson-Robinson started 1 of them.
Oh, no, I was asking about Winston. Winston did start in preseason.
No,
right?
Yeah, he started 2 of them.
All right, what's the last one, Bob?
Bryce Young, pull or play?
Oh. Huh?
Pull or play?
Derek?
Play him. Why not? What else are you going to do? It's not his fault that his leadership and his coach can't put a team around him to help him be successful. That is not Bryce Young's fault.
Right. I have a lot to say about it, but I'll let. Okay. Bob, what do you think?
I'm going to say play him too. But here's the thing. I do think that the team would probably be better with Andy Dalton. But when you sign a guy as the number 1 overall pick, you're hoping to get something out of him. And let's face it, he's only had 1 year. It was a bad team last year. And just bringing in Deontay Johnson, even though I like him, they're still not going to be the same team that they were a few years ago.
Mhm.
So, I mean, they this is a team that has a lot of issues. And even though I think they'd be better with Andy Dalton, I think he'd get more out of those players. I think you're trying to figure out what you got in Bryce Young, and you can't do that if he's sitting on the bench. I mean, he was the number 1 overall pick, so you're trying to figure out what you got there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Derek. At all.
I was just going to say, if you do, I mean, to Bob's point, okay, they might be doing better with Andy Dalton, but if you don't play, every time he doesn't play, his equity drops.
Right.
Every game.
Good point.
So you might as well get him in there, let him take a punishment for a couple of years. Hopefully the Panthers get their act together and get the pieces of the puzzle right, which that will take years. We all know that does. So
Right.
maybe just have Bryce Young guts it out and know what not to do.
Okay, I'll start out with this. I say play him. I agree with you guys.
Mhm.
It's so funny. Bob knows this about me, Derek. Me and my video games. When I play a team, I always try to follow the team and see what they have going for them. And last year I was really about the Panthers. And first of all, I don't think Bryce Young was the number 1 overall pick. I thought it was CJ Stroud. But Carolina does things that are so dumb to me. You got rid of McCaffrey. And not only did you do that, this year you had no first-round picks. You had to trade up into the first round, but guess what? You traded late in the first round. There were no big-time receivers
Yeah.
that you could get in that. So you're putting him, Thielen is great, but he's getting older. They have Chuba Hubbard playing running back. They had gotten Miles Sanders last year because, he played great at Philly, but look what happened to him. He struggled beyond. They get rid of Burns, send him to New York on defense. They still have Shaq Thompson. But again, they've done things. Their owner has done stupid things. And it's we don't know. I know Bryce Young can play. I've seen him play. Bob has seen him play. But it's he doesn't have that talent to be successful right now. You don't have that big-time receiver. Deontay Johnson is a good player. He's not a great receiver.
Yeah, he gets great separation, but he's not a guy who's going to turn around and stretch the field. And that's the thing. They don't have a receiver who can stretch the field. So you got no deep threat. So everything's going to be underneath. And it just, you could just stack the box, slow down the running game, and you make Bryce Young have to beat you deep, or have to beat you in the pass. And since everything's underneath, it just
and you have no defense to keep you in games either.
Yeah.
That's also non-existent. So you can't win.
Yeah.
Right. And they say Canales, he helped Baker Mayfield out last year, and he'll help Bryce Young out. But they just looked, they weren't even competitive against New Orleans, guys.
No.
Yeah, well, that game was over within the first 5 minutes. So
he just is and I hate to say this about anyone, but I question Bryce Young's leadership. I'd much rather pick CJ Stroud or Jalen Daniels or someone to lead me through into battle versus him. It's if I were in Canales's, predicament right now, would I be playing Andy Dalton because of that experience? Maybe. But again, you paid this guy a ton of money.
No, you didn't pay him a ton. He's still a rookie.
Yeah,
still on a rookie contract.
The second year, he's got to do something. He's got to do something this year.
Well, I think a lot of this also has to be baptism by fire, too. He's just going to have to guts this out if he is going to find success.
Who do they play this week?
The Chargers.
Was it the Chargers?
Yeah.
I think it's the Chargers.
Okay.
That
one's going to be over with the first 10 minutes.
So, I guess
play him.
That's another to Jameis Winston. If he had gone to Carolina, I see Jameis going to all these different teams and being successul. And
I think Jameis would have been great with Minnesota.
Yeah, and they didn't take him. I don't know
with
why.
Seattle.
Jordan Addison. There were some playmakers there. So
Jefferson.
Just given his skill set, that's why I think I would play him ahead of Watson.
It's his interceptions. That's why these teams are not wanting to start him.
which again is funny because the teammates themselves love him. They all say he's the best
they're not starting
teammate.
Not starting him. All right. Nice.
Before the
Very cool
season's
segment, Bob. Huh?
I said we'll see before the season's out. I got faith in famous James. I'm going to
All
eat
right.
a W.
Mhm. All right. What's our next one?
All right.
So I don't know if you guys know this. I went to the courthouse today, and I had my name changed to Champ because I dominated both you guys in our Dad's Turn to Talk Fantasy Football League. You know, we knew I would dominate Derek, but, you know, I thought Bob was actually good at this. You know, he calls me and says, I won this, I won that. It was nothing. The champ here.
What'd you say? You changed your name to Chump? What was it?
Baby, the champ is here. I am the new John Cena. Bob, you disappointed me. I thought you were going to dominate.
And we
you
got a
just
long season, but
you have little excuses.
No.
I picked the wrong.
See,
team.
Josh thinks that I'm making an excuse when I tell him the truth. And I'll explain it here in a moment.
Oh, here we go.
So
the
all
champ
right.
is here. I can help both of you guys out with your fantasy leagues at any time. I'm that good. I dominated every league I was in this.
Shut up!
Yep,
Yeah,
that's
you
exactly
shut
right.
up. You shut up.
When
Mr.
you can get us something useful, let us know.
Mr. Excuses. I picked the wrong team. I should have done this.
Did.
Yeah.
But I'll explain in a second, Derek, and it'll make sense what I'm saying.
Mhm.
So anyway, let me get into this here. So as Josh said, we did start our own fantasy football league over on DraftKings. And unfortunately, as Josh already said, he beat both me and Derek.
You bunch of losers!
So we're going to get into it here. We're going to kind of recap our lineups. And we're going to start off with Derek. And
Now that's
Derek,
coming up.
so Derek finished with 87.86 points. He had,
Look.
he had CJ Stroud at quarterback,
Josh.
who got 18.66.
Yeah.
Etienne with 12.9. Jamal Williams at 12.1. Sutton at wide receiver, 7.8. Harrison really let you down.
Oh, yeah. Big,
1.4.
good pick, though.
Van Jefferson at 1.1. Kyle Pitts. Luckily, Pitts got us that touchdown, and I say us because I played him as well, Derek. But he got that touchdown, which helped out. So 11.6. And then Brown from Cincinnati, 5.3. Cowboys defense did pretty good for you. Finished with a total of 87.86 points. Final verdict is that my score. I didn't know they get that low.
Even the Joker is laughing. Oh, my God.
So
Jeez.
now we're going to get into mine.
Oh, here we go. Oh, God.
And
Oh, God. Look at this.
I finished with 95.62 points. And here's what I mean, Derek, that I picked wrong. And when I play on DraftKings, I play to win $1 million. And by doing that, you take some risks with your lineup.
Sure.
I turned around and just plugged my Millionaire Maker lineup into our contest. I did not pick a conservative lineup.
Gotcha.
And you can see that my lineup's designed that way because the way I play for the $1 million is I play with a quarterback with two of his pass catchers. So I had Caleb Williams because of the price point. I did expect him to do a little bit better. I played him with DJ Moore and Ordunzi, and I always have a player on the opposite team coming back. So that's usually the way I play that. So you had so since Williams stunk it up, unfortunately, that affected my pass catchers for him. Tony Pollard did good for me with 18.4. James Cook was a little bit of a letdown. I thought he was going to play much better than what he did. I did play Kyle Pitts, as I said, and Mike Evans came through for me, but probably my biggest letdown was DK Metcalf, who only got 5.9 points. I still think he was a good pick. It just did not work out for me. I played the Texans defense just because that was all the money I had left to play, and they got me 4 points. Got 95.62. Final verdict for that is it seems like I suck as bad as the Seminoles.
Wow.
So now we're going to get to our champ for week 1. We got Josh over here, who's nice and happy because he thinks he's going to win the Super Bowl now that one week. And the other thing that I try to tell Josh
there's excuses.
is that no, this is not an excuse. It's a fact that 115.06 points that he got is actually a very lousy score on DraftKings.
Doesn't matter. I'm not focused on that.
No. I'm just pointing that out, that it is a very lousy score. We all had lousy scores. Josh just had the least lousy of us all.
I still won.
But he went with CJ
You
Stroud.
wanted something useless and fake, Josh. Congratulations. Story of your life.
Shut up, Derek.
So he had he played Achane. He played Achane, which was a good play. Mixon was a very good play as well. So I'm going to give you credit there, Josh. And of course, you fit in Tyreek Hill. But if you look at the rest of the lineup, the rest of his lineup sucked. The only thing that carried him over, and so that's why I say that he's blowing this out of proportion because he's like, I am the champ. Look, he had a player with 2 points, 1 point, 0 points, a defense with 2 points. The only reason he even won
took care of business.
Tyreek Hill and Mixon decided to go off.
I took care of business.
If he had not had that, it would have been a much lower score. The fact of the matter is the Dolphins are not going to be on the slate this week, Josh, so he's not going to be able to lean on Tyreek Hill. And the final verdict is you guys must really suck if I can win.
Oh, really? Really? Yeah, mister. I win everything. Yeah.
I didn't say I win everything. I've told you I lose more often than not. And then the final standings, Josh got the first win, and so he's on top of the leaderboard as of right now. But we've got a long ways to go. So, in fact, these contests, these go even into the playoffs, Josh. These don't stop, like week 12 or anything like that. So there's a lot of football to go here. And on DraftKings, it does get a lot harder because salaries adjust as players' performances change. So player like Tyreek Hill, I think he was $8,700 this week. He's probably going to be over $9,000 next week.
Fine by me.
Which is going to make it harder to fit. McCaffrey is probably going to be over $9,000 when he is back healthy, so it's going to be hard to fit him. So it gets a little bit harder to field a team, and that's where the strategy really comes in. So yes, Josh, as I said, you did beat the two of us.
You bunch of losers!
Hold on, Matthew Berry's at my door. He wants to interview me for my success. I mean, domination around all my leagues. It's amazing.
Domination.
All right.
You were taking care of business?
You know what, Derek? You're in timeout, okay? You crossed the line. I'm done with you right now.
You thought that crossed the line. I got another one if you want.
Derek, we have a question. I have a
put it
question.
this way. This week, I'm not saying I'm going to win because
Of course you're not. It's you.
I'm not saying I'm going to win, but my lineup will be more designed for the fact that I'm just playing against two people. The lineups are supposed to be different. You're not going to see as a risk like I took with this lineup because I played an unknown commodity with Caleb Williams, and because he stunk it up, because the lineup is built for a quarterback to go off with a couple of pass catchers, I took a hit because the quarterback sucked.
Oh my God. All right, let's go on to our final topic of the night.
All right.
Really cool topic. All right. Very interesting topic tonight. I cannot give credit to myself for this one. Bob came up with this one just the other day. Derek and I loved it. Very good topic. Good job, Bob. We are not ranking these according to Bob. We're just going to give our,
Yeah, we just want to give off 5 sequels each that we think are better than the original. And
Right.
of course, tell us why you think it's better than the original. And then if we disagree, we'll say why we disagree.
Yeah, exactly. So, Derico, let's start with you, my friend. Give us one.
All right. We're just doing top 5. We have we have similarities here. Then we can switch it up and put in something else. But I'm going to start off with, and these are in no particular order, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I am actually starting off with Spider-Man 2 from 2004.
Okay. Very cool.
That Willem Dafoe Green Goblin, that's silly. I don't know. I mean, whatever. It was too kiddie, too jokey to me. When they came up with the second one and Alfred Molina playing Dr. Octopus, I'm like, now we're talking.
Okay.
This is good stuff. And it has some of the best action sequences. I mean, I'll put those up against plenty other movies in terms of great action sequences. Fantastic. That the on the subway there, tremendous. It's just a well done movie, and I think it rocked the first one. I was just a really big fan, and
I agree.
And it made me realize, Tobey Maguire was a pretty good Spider-Man. He was not bad. He did a pretty good job. So it kind of took me back to all those thoughts I had about just how pleased as punch I was about that second one. I highly recommend watching it again. You'll have a ball.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Bob, do you agree?
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's got the best scene in all of the Spider-Man movies. So yes, I agree with you. Spider-Man 2 is better than the first one.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. It was very good. Yeah, thought it was excellent. All right, Bob, what's yours?
All right, I'm coming out swinging. Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Okay.
Good one.
That is easily better than the first film. The promotion to it was one of the best because there'd already been anticipation to get another Terminator film, and then of course it started to leak that there were going to be 2 Terminators, and so there was a question which one was going to be a good one, which one was going to be a bad one. By this point, Arnold was already an action star as far as being a good guy.
Right.
So everybody just assumed, but even in the trailers, the initial ones, they said one is there to protect him, one is there to destroy him. They never actually say which one it is until you get to that final trailer and it's revealed that it is going to be Arnold as the good Terminator. Just the way that they did the film, the upgrade in special effects with the T-1000 are really good. Arnold gives a great performance as the Terminator in that one. Linda Hamilton is brilliant as Sarah Connor. Robert Patrick as the T-1000 is great.
Yeah.
So Terminator 2 is by far a much better film than the first one. But one of the things that it does really well is that it takes the ideas that were done in the first one, it makes them better, and it adds to them as well. It feels like a natural progression of the story. Even though in some ways it's almost a rehash, it feels like a natural progression. And the way that it ends, it ties everything up in a nice bow. It really, there should have not been another sequel after this movie. That should have been it. It was perfect the way that it was. This whole idea that the machine in the movie, they say that he learns and he finally understands by the end of the film human emotion. When he tells John, "I understand now why you cry." And and he learns the value of human life as a machine. It was great. Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
I don't watch that as much as I should. And actually that movie, Bob, I actually replaced that with what mine is. but it's still up there. It's like number 6 for me. Derek, do you agree with Bob for Terminator 2? You like that?
Terminator 2 is a fantastic movie. God, I was like 12 when I saw it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, I got a little verklempt when he's going on the way down and you just see him do that.
Oh, and you're just
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, don't make me do this.
I remember watching that. Sixth grade maybe. I watched it on.
That was about the time. It was hyped to death. I mean, that was all over the place. It was great.
The part
it
with
was
the
a
cop
fantastic movie.
Okay, so mine that I replaced Terminator with, and I'm going to say it right away because I think one of you will say it. Top Gun Maverick.
That's fair.
I had that on my list.
Absolutely loved that movie. We were in the height of COVID, and we were able to go into the theaters. And it's better than the first one. Even from like the very beginning, with the jet taking off, and they're playing the music. And my favorite part, my two favorite parts go hand in hand. Him at the bar, and Rooster comes in, doesn't see Tom Cruise at all, and they're making fun of the old guy. And the very next scene, Tom Cruise is their instructor, and you can just see them just drop and be like, "Oh crap!" And then making them do the push-ups after he beats each one of them, and then the end where it's that great story arc with, in a way, Rooster kind of forgiving Tom Cruise in a way. They build that relationship up because at the start he was pissed. He was upset. And the first one was great, but this one I can watch over and over again. I thought they did a fantastic job with this one.
The Top Gun Maverick in a lot of ways is a rehash of the first film in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
That being said, I agree with you. It is better. They took everything that was done in the first film and they made it better. It was just a better story. It was better acted, better directed, better. And I'm not knocking the first film because the first film is a classic,
right?
But this was just better. I don't know if it's because they had the technology and everything with the planes and everything just felt so real. Which because they filmed, in actual jets.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was something else.
Yeah.
Great film. And what you mentioned, Josh, about that opening sequence, I told my oldest son who I went to the movie with, I told him, you know what? I need to hear Danger Zone. If I hear Danger Zone, then I'm going to be happy with this film. And right at the beginning, you heard Danger Zone. And I just looked at my son and I was just like, yeah. And he did too. He was just like,
right? Kenny Loggins saying Danger Zone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Derek, do you agree with Maverick? Better than first one?
I hold both Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick actually is the same. But that's the reason for that is because my dad and I watch Top Gun a lot. So it's a special movie for us.
Okay, that's fair.
And so I hold the classic in the same category as Maverick. Maverick is more well done, just in terms of like just the effects, all the plane scenes, and the direction is. Bob pretty much summed it up there. It's much more enhanced, obviously, the classic is. But I hold both of them pretty highly. It's hard for me to say pick that one over the first one, but I get why you do. I understand that logic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, I think with Top Gun Maverick, it had been so long since we had seen something great in the theater.
Yeah, that was what I
that when you see it, it was just like, where have films like this been?
Yeah.
I mean, because I haven't seen one this good in years.
And you got to go back to the theater, and that's the first one you felt whole again when you watch that.
Yeah, we went with a big group.
It was great.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Derek, go ahead.
Let's go old school, shall we?
Do it.
The Godfather Part 2.
I knew that was coming up.
Wow. God, interesting. Wait, which was your first one, Derek?
Spider-Man 2.
That's right. And Godfather Part 2. Okay.
Both the Godfathers, the Godfather 3, okay. But the first two are nearly perfect films. The only reason that number 2 gets the edge to me is because the story is just a little bit better because of the brother's betrayal. It's good. It's really, really good. And it still holds up today too. Both of those do.
I gotta watch those. I don't know if I've ever seen all of them, believe it or not.
Have you? Well, how many have you seen? Have you seen?
I've seen the original one.
Okay.
Is the original one with the horse's head?
Yeah.
The horse. Yeah. Second one, I've seen parts of it. I don't really think I've seen the full.
See, I'm like you, Josh. I saw the original years and years ago.
Yeah,
I'm ashamed of myself because I haven't rewatched it all these years later because I was young when I saw it, so I don't remember really a whole lot about it. And I think I've seen pieces of the second one when it's been on TV. I've never actually sat down and watched the whole thing. But Derek, to what you said about it, I have heard that same thing, which is why I knew it was coming. I've heard so many people say that The Godfather Part 2 is better than the first one.
Yeah,
I'm not knocking the first either. Okay, I'm not knocking it. And if you guys do watch it, reserve time.
Well, I'm gonna watch it.
How many
were there? Long films.
Were there 3 or 2?
There are 3. You don't have to worry about the third though.
Are they all in the third one or no?
Yes, I believe so. Well, they actually introduce Anthony Garcia.
Okay.
They introduce him in the third one. The third one is basically just like, trying to wrap up something they didn't even really need to wrap up.
Got it.
I mean, if you want to watch it, fine. I mean, it's not a terrible movie, but
have you seen the director's cut of the third one, the one that came out a year or 2 years ago?
I have not.
I forget the full name of it because it's not called The Godfather Part 3 anymore. There's actually a name for the director's cut that's a little bit different. But my understanding is the director's cut is much better than the actual Godfather Part 3.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Good to know.
In fact, let me look that up real quick while you guys are
right on
chatting real quick.
Yeah,
no, I agree. I mean, I've heard nothing but good stuff about Godfather Part 2.
Well, and also my dad was the one who got me hip to it too. He because I've seen when was it? It was like high school. I think I saw the first one, and then it was senior year, I think. And my dad was like, "Well, have you ever seen the second one?" And I'm like, "No, I just kind of missed out on that one." He goes, "You've never seen the second Godfather?" And he thought it was just blasphemy. So he's like, "Get in the car right now." We head down to the video store.
So it's just called The Godfather Coda.
Okay.
And they actually cut out a few minutes of the film, so it's actually like 4 minutes shorter. And they reordered some of the scenes and stuff like that for clarity. So from my understanding, it's supposed to be a different experience watching it than what the other one was. Now, again, I haven't seen it, so I'm just basing this off of what I've read and heard. So
right, understood. I got you.
All right, Bob, what's yours?
Okay, I'm gonna again come out swinging. Aliens.
Yeah, I was wondering if this was going to come up too.
Aliens is much better than the first Alien. Don't get me wrong. The first Alien is a classic. It is the standard bearer for science fiction horror, but Aliens is such an amazing sequel. It took a great premise from the first film and actually expanded on it. That's where you find out about the alien queen, and you find out about the fact that they work like a hive almost. Mm-hmm. You see the Marines, come in, and they had such great characters there, with Hicks and Hudson and Vasquez. Vasquez was great. I love the scene where she's doing the pull-ups and Hudson comes up to her. He's like, "Vasquez, have you ever been mistaken for a man?" And she's like, "No, have you?" So it was great. Ripley is a fantastic heroine. They grow the character a little bit. She goes from she becomes a bad, like a badass character that she, learns to handle weapons and things like that more so than what she did in the original film. They give her that motherly instinct, as she's trying to protect the character Newt. It's just a great film. Great special effects. James Cameron took over as director for the second film and brought his own flair to it. Aliens is a better film than the original Alien.
And almost unanimously known to be that too.
Yes.
I think if you ask most people, they say second one's better.
What do you think, Derek? Do you think it is?
Yeah, they do. And like Bob said, I love the first one too. First one's great, but the second one rocks.
The truth is, there's only 2 Alien films.
That's
Correct.
right. You don't need to bother with that third one.
I mean,
Or
look,
the
I've seen
Third, fourth, prequel, the new sequel. None of them. You don't need any of them. Just the first 2.
No, I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. I've seen all of them. The first 2 has been a very long time for me. I do remember more of the original than the second one.
Oh, the second one is great.
You got to watch the second one again.
In fact, I just did a rewatch of the second one after I watched the new one, Alien Romulus, because I did like Alien Romulus, and so I was like, oh, I need to go and see this because Alien Romulus takes place between the first and the second film. So I was like,
in the middle.
So because I saw that, I'm like, okay, now I want to go see Aliens, and so I just love the characters there. Like I said, they're all great. Hudson is a great character.
Yeah.
I love the scene where he's like, those things are gonna come in here. They're gonna kill us. They're gonna wipe us out. And Ripley's like, hey, this little girl, she survived. Or hold on, before that, Ripley asks Hicks how long before they consider us overdue. And Hicks is like 17 days. And Hudson's like, 17 days? We aren't going to last 17 hours. Those things are going to come in here and they're going to wipe us out. And Ripley's like, well, this little girl survived a lot longer than that with no training. And Hudson's like, we'll put her in charge.
Bob, is it on Hulu?
No, I have the special edition version of it. I don't know where you can watch it at, but
I think it might be on Hulu.
But I have Oh, and that's what's cool is I got the special edition version on Blu-ray, so it's got like an extra 10 minutes back in the film, and so there's a few sequences there where that were taken out of the theatrical cut. For example, you actually see Newt's parents. They get called to go to the alien ship, and they're the first ones to encounter the face hugger, and that's what started everything going on, and it's all because Paul Reiser's character had found out the information about the alien and sent them off to go and investigate it. But that scene is cut out of the theatrical cut. So there's little things like that.
That's nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Very cool. All right. My next one, Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
I mean, you cannot, totally different than A New Hope, much darker. I mean, especially now with James Earl Jones. Come on, that close to the end. No, Luke, I am your father. I mean,
that's most of what people's favorite Star Wars is.
Yeah, and not a happy ending. Not a happy ending.
No, not at all.
And could you imagine? You know the story that like they told Mark Hamill, like not that far away from filming, and they said you can't tell anyone. And like
they told him before he went out to film that scene.
Right. Was it that?
It was like that. It was like that soon. And they tell him, look, Mark, you do know that Darth Vader's your father, right? And he's like, what? So, and the actor who was playing Vader, what's his name? David Prowse, right?
Yeah, David Prowse.
Yeah, he's in the suit saying Obi-Wan killed your father. And later they went in and they had James Earl Jones put in the voice. And what's funny is James Earl Jones didn't know it either until he reads the line and he's like, oh, this is a lie. This isn't true.
Yeah, it was such a great movie. You had the whole romance between Leia and Han. And then, we've talked about this in previous podcasts, how, Harrison Ford really didn't want to be in it anymore. And that's why George Lucas pretty much did the Carbonite. Because he's like, okay, well, if he's not in Return of the Jedi, then we've said he died.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think Empire Strikes Back, just an amazing movie, an amazing. I still, love New Hope. It's what started it all. But as far as Empire Strikes Back, can't get better than
It's
that.
better. I agree with you.
So, Derek, you agree?
Yeah, it is better. It's better. Return of the Jedi is still my favorite, but I get why that's one of the calls there. I totally understand.
All right, very cool. Bob, let's start with you on this round. What do you like?
Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan.
Oh, did I not tell you that? That's so funny.
Look,
I
The
mentioned
Wrath
that.
of Khan is easily the standard bearer for the Star Trek films. If that movie's not a success, there is no Star Trek franchise or a continuing Star Trek franchise.
Right.
The storyline is fantastic. It's basically Moby Dick. That's basically what it is. Captain Ahab is hunting his white whale, and Moby Dick or Captain Ahab is Khan in this case, hunting down Kirk, who is basically Moby Dick, and and Moby Dick is Khan basically causes his own death, chasing after Moby Dick. And what's interesting is that they actually quote Moby Dick in the film because one of the books Khan was reading, and you see it in the background of his ship, is Moby Dick. So I thought that was kind of cool. But you've take your hero, Captain Kirk. Well, he's now an admiral in this movie. You give him a midlife crisis. He's working a boring desk job. The Enterprise is now being used for just training missions. All the crew are kind of getting older. They're training up a brand new young crew to take their place, and they're all inexperienced. And it's Kirk who has to, while they're on this training mission, assume command during an emergency situation, and basically everything goes to hell. It's a great film, and throughout the whole film, there's this test that they keep referring back to, because at the very beginning of the film, Kirstie Alley, character, she plays the character of Saavik, who's the young Vulcan who's basically supposed to kind of take Spock's place, and she takes the test, and she's not happy with her performance on the test, and so she keeps asking Kirk, how'd you do on the test? How'd you do on the test? And he won't tell her. Yeah, he won't tell her what he did, and you come to find out that he cheated on the test. The test is basically supposed to be a no-win scenario, and it's not designed for you to win. It's designed to test your character. And Kirk, he cheated so he could win, because his thought was, I don't believe in a no-win scenario. But in the film, he's put into a no-win scenario. And that no-win scenario is he has to face death for the first time. Because Spock ends up having to gives his life to save the crew. Yeah. And Nimoy gives a great performance in his death scene. It's still one of my favorite death scenes of any movie. Shatner gives a great performance during that scene. When he gives the eulogy, he gives a great performance. This is a movie made by competent people and competent writers who know how to have setup and payoff. Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan is better than Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
There you go. I agree.
Like by leaps and bounds, too.
Yes, by leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
I watched it at your house, Bob. I remember that. It was awesome.
It's still great. Watch it. It holds up.
Oh, and that's the thing, is it still holds up for the most part. Like special effects for the most part, they hold up.
Yeah.
All right, Derek, what do you think? What's yours?
Number 3. Well, I have a feeling that I'm going to get the quote here where it's been said on this program that it's okay to like a bad movie. Okay. But I can't help it. I just think it's just better than the first. And just because it's such a different take. It started off this way, and then it went way that way.
What are you going to say?
It's Thor Ragnarok.
Yes. Really?
Crap, mega crap.
Go ahead, Bob.
A+.
You said it was okay to like a bad movie.
Oh my
God, really? Oh,
yeah.
I am shocked.
Don't worry.
That's like a Josh answer. My God.
Wait, hey.
I'll make up for it with my others. Okay, I'll make up for it.
Ragnarok, really?
Okay, tell us
Yeah.
why it's better than the
This is
original.
great.
Okay, so the first one is directed by Kenneth Branagh. You guys know who Kenneth Branagh is, don't you?
Absolutely.
Okay, so for those who are unfamiliar with who Kenneth Branagh is, he's basically a Shakespearean actor who does Shakespearean films or such films like that are supposed to be very like old English style. And he thought that would work for Thor. Newsflash, it did not. And I thought the first Thor it just didn't work. There were a lot of things I just had issues with. But when I saw the second one, it was like, okay, yeah, we screwed up the first one so bad that we're just going to take a totally different direction here and not take this seriously at all. And so it seemed to me like it was a breath of fresh air on that level.
No, but Ragnarok was number 3.
Well, that's what I mean. The second one took it in the different direction. And then the third just went full throttle into it. Just dumped him with both feet.
In that one.
Yeah. And Chris Hemsworth did not take himself seriously. I kind of started to actually be appreciative that he didn't mind acting like a goofball. That's why I appreciated him as the Big Lebowski. Josh, put your phone down. Put your phone down.
Bob. Bob
Thank
looks
you.
disgusted. Bob is so disgusted.
I already know he's disgusted. We've covered that.
This is brilliant.
Shut up, Josh.
You know what? You shut up. This is
Shut up,
ridiculous.
Josh. I'm trying to listen to this reason here.
I take your side and you still get mad. I
Yeah.
can't. I can't. I give up.
All right. I just thought it's such a ridiculous story kind of altogether that's why I enjoy it. I don't mind something that's just off the wall, completely ridiculous. We talked about Free Guy on this show. Okay? So I thought it was way better. I just did. Because if you look at what the first Thor is versus what that is, wow, they went a wrong direction, and I had fun appreciating the ridiculousness of it. So, yeah, you can hate me. It's fine. Go
So
ahead.
Eric wants a pet polar bear, and Thor Ragnarok is his favorite.
No, I didn't say it was my favorite. I said it made the list.
Okay, made the list.
He's saying that it's better than the original.
You just made
Yes.
the list. All right. Okay, very cool. My next one I want
Hold on.
Did you want to ask Bob if he agrees?
Well, I know Bob doesn't agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's another perspective.
Yeah.
Thor Ragnarok is a piece of trash. It's a funny piece of trash, but it is a piece of trash.
Okay.
You are right about Kenneth Branagh being a Shakespearean, actor, director, and the first Thor very much feels like it's in that mold. I just happen to like that. Now I'm going to be honest. I'm not a big fan of the Thor series. Period. I just think that of them, I think that the first Thor is better. The problem I had with Ragnarok is I think that given its source material, as far as it being like the end of Asgard and whatnot, they just dialed it up to a completely ridiculous level that I just think that it took away from the seriousness of it. I wish it had been more balanced, say, the way Infinity War was. Infinity War had its jokes and stuff, but it was more balanced, and it was a much more serious film. Now, that being said, the scene where Thor is a gladiator fighting the Hulk is hilarious, where he's like, yes, he's a friend from work.
Yeah, I know.
Thank
We
you.
know each other.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
And I actually
Okay,
thought
so-
Kate Blanchett played a pretty good villain.
She did.
I mean, I got to give credit where credit is due. I
Oh,
wasn't
and then,
expecting her to be good.
How good was
and
it?
then I hated what they did with the Hulk, and that's where they really started messing up with the Hulk.
No,
far as
that
I'm
was
concerned.
still okay.
No, it wasn't.
When we got to hear him talk.
Oh God.
All
No
right.
stairs.
See, that was better than the way he was in Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Oh God. All right.
Sitting
All
there
right,
playing with a bouncy ball.
I want to get to my let's see. So we're on number 3.
Yeah.
Well, just
Oh,
Oh,
oh.
there he goes. He's back. He's good.
My next one, I'm going to say, because I think one of you might say it. This is a movie Derek and I watched together in the theaters X2. So much better than the original one.
I agree with that. I'm going to say that
that's-
now. I agree with that.
So much better than the original one. It's the one I've watched the most. You know, every part of that movie was great where you had, you know, the whole Wolverine and Stryker parts, you know, and a blast from the past. And then that ending, I remember sitting in that theater and Derek yells out, "They're doing a Dark Phoenix storyline. That is awesome." Now, little did we know it
that
would
worked out well.
be the worst disaster ever. But
The Magneto break out of prison is tremendous.
yes, that
That's
was
very
good.
good.
Rebecca Romaine in it was great.
No,
It was a great movie.
The
We
scene
got
where Wolverine's defending the kids in the mansion.
yep.
yes, that is cool.
That's a
And
great
then
scene.
we got to see Nightcrawler for the first time at the very beginning. He
The beginning
appeared
was fantastic. Yeah.
at the White House, and you're like, oh wow, and like he took care of business. Really,
Ian
just
McKellen as Magneto is tremendous.
oh god, yes. I heard you can bend metal. Is that what they say?
We love what they've done with your hair.
So good, so good. So yeah, do you guys agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Oh yeah, on that one for sure.
Okay, nice.
It's just that third one that'll cause you trouble.
God. No comment. All right, Derico, what's your next one? Is it about polar bears?
No, it is not about polar bear. Enough with the polar. Okay, just stop. Bob, you should just put up a look of me with that fantasy football just every time he says something I don't like.
Look of disgust.
Yeah, I told Derek, I was like, send me a pic of you looking disgusted. But you should see Josh. I turned around and I told him to send me a picture of him smiling. And the first picture he sent me of him standing like a dang robot, and he's all, I'm like, really? I immediately responded back, that's the best you can get. Send me another one. Send me a selfie.
Just absurd.
Derek with his disgust towards me and his disdain. I'm like, what did you tell me? Josh, you're a waste of human humanity. Wow.
All right, your next one.
All right. My next one. Okay, so I will never, ever, ever not give the first one its flowers. The second one was but I have to say, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, maybe, that's it.
I told Bobby that one yesterday, and he thought I was crazy.
Sorry.
He thought I was nuts to say that. As in my, it's not in it now, but Bob was like crazy, like pissed at me.
Well, does he think Temple of Doom was better?
No, he's saying that Raiders of the Lost Ark is a perfect movie.
No, Raiders of the Lost Ark is a near perfect film. Now, I did what I am telling Josh, because Josh kept saying, I can't believe you're not thinking of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Well, it's because I don't consider it better than Raiders of the Lost Ark. Raiders of the Lost Ark is a better film. It is a near perfect film. That being said, I do enjoy Last Crusade more, just simply because the dynamic with Indiana Jones and his dad are better. And I'll get into the favorite and best with my next one. But
okay.
But yeah, Raiders is a better film. I'm sorry, Derek.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't say Raiders was awful.
No, and I don't think Last Crusade is awful either. Last Crusade is a very, very enjoyable film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just it. The relation, like that end scene. We talk about scenes we can watch in movies all the time.
Yeah.
That's one of them. That scene never gets old to me. He chose poorly. That's tremendous.
Yeah.
It still is, and always will.
You know what? It's funny. You mentioned the scene where he says he chose poorly. I like the scene right after that when he comes out and he's got the Grail and he's got his father drinking it, and then he pours the Grail on there, and then he pours it again, and it washes it off, and you see that the wound is healed, and you hear the music that John Williams wrote for that sequence and for that film. It just sounds great. I mean, that's a great scene.
Yeah, it is. It is really good. maybe it's better. I mean, it was better than Thor Ragnarok. For what it sounds like.
See, that is a much better choice. I mean, if you're going to be wrong, at least be wrong about a better film.
Wow, Bob is
Fair
pissed.
enough.
That Last Crusade is a very good movie.
Um,
I love the scene where when he's holding what's her name, Dr. Schneider, and
Yeah.
she's sitting there trying to grab the Grail, and she's like, "I can reach it." And he's like, "Give me your other hand." Well, all of a sudden he drops her, or she falls,
Yep.
of course, and then he's hanging down, and just a second ago he's like, "Give me your other hand," and then now you got his father going, "Junior, give me your other hand," and he's like, "I can get it." I can get it. He's trying-
And then all it took was his dad calling him Indiana. That was
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Let it go.
all right, what about you, Bob?
All right. My next one is The Dark Knight.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So The Dark Knight is better than Batman Begins. Now, the reason I say I listed Batman Begins as on my, I think I had it in my honorable mentions as as one of my favorite films, and I didn't even list The Dark Knight there. I acknowledge that The Dark Knight is a better film. It is again, they built off of what they did before. Heath Ledger's performance is iconic in that movie. Christian Bale still hit it out of the park as Bruce Wayne and Batman. Gary Oldman is fantastic as Gordon. Morgan Freeman is fantastic. The cast, Michael Caine, they are all great in this film.
Yeah.
Even Maggie Gyllenhaal and what's the name of the actor who played or Aaron Eckhart who played
Harvey Dent.
Two-Face and Harvey Dent. Yeah, I mean, he was fantastic. It's just a great film. I remember seeing it in theaters the day that I graduated from basic training. I went to go see it, and it was awesome to get to finally be in a movie theater and just enjoy that film. I loved The Dark Knight. Like I said, I still think Batman Begins is my favorite of that trilogy. That being said, I acknowledge that The Dark Knight is a better film. So I'm going with The Dark Knight.
Batman Begins is about the story of Batman. The Dark Knight is about the story of the Joker. No, he torments Batman.
And
Yeah.
fantastic in that.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a nearly perfect film.
I mean, I agree with Bob. That's one of mine is The Dark Knight. I'm just gonna say it because, I mean, Bob and I always talk. I mean, Bob is a Batman fan. He's a bigger Superman fan. I'm a bigger Batman fan, and having the first one, Batman Begins, is a fantastic movie.
It's
Fantastic
awesome.
movie.
Yeah.
And they did it great. Having the Scarecrow and Carmine Falcone and stuff, but at the very end, when he flips the card over and you see the Joker card, everyone gets excited. And the fact that we were getting the Joker in the sequel, and then, Bob has mentioned this on previous podcasts about what's his name? Heath Ledger. Everyone was like, how's that going to work? That
I
doesn't
know.
make any sense. And then he
People were
just blew
skeptical.
us away.
he blew us away. He was
Yeah.
great.
Blew us away when he came in there. And I would say the beginning was cool, but when he comes in with the mob.
Yeah.
And,
Oh yeah. If you're good at something, never do it for free.
right. And then, but the first thing he's been laughing, he's like, and I thought my jokes were bad.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Do you really think you can take something from us?" Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he it's just so good. And he's got the bomb attached to him, and it was such a.
You think you could steal away, or you think you could steal from us and get away with it? Yeah.
Oh God! And he just
After and when we saw in the theater, it was opening night, and when he leaves the mob, the theater applauded. They were like, that was too
so
good.
It was so good.
Way too good.
So
Give me a reason I shouldn't break you in half. How about a magic trick?
Yeah. Oh, that was ta-da!
Ta-da! So that's on my top of the list as well. I mean, you can't. It's to me, and I don't know because we were older, obviously when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
But in your opinions, Did that change your views on sequels? Because it kind of changed that, like a
No.
sequel could be better than an
No.
There was
one.
always an ability for a sequel to be better. I had seen sequels that have been better.
I mean, heck, I just named 3 of them that came out way before that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. That is true. Just this one, it was
And
amazing.
then you also mentioned
how they did it.
you just like half of the sequels that we've mentioned
Right.
were films that came out before then.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. I guess the storyline was done so well with that. You know what it was? I'll tell you what it was, Bob. Batman Begins, like you said, was so good. And the fact that The Dark Knight topped that is impressive. That's what I probably mean.
There's honestly, like, after I was, kind of doing some research and looking through things,
Yeah.
there's a lot of shout outs you could put on this list that I was,
Yeah.
it caught me off guard. I was like, oh God, that's right. I forgot
Yeah.
all
When
about
Bob told me about this, I'm like, Bob, I can't think of these. And I Googled it. I'm like, oh my God, how did I?
You have to go back and look at everything with a pretty fine tooth comb.
Yeah. All right.
All right, Josh, what's your next one?
It was,
Dark
mine
Knight.
was Dark Knight.
Well, give us another one. That's why you had extras on your list.
Yeah, you get to get another.
I mean,
I get a feeling I might know what it is. Maybe.
I'll give you this one, and then I'm probably gonna have to figure out the last one. But Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, that's fine.
That's
Revenge of the
okay.
Sith. That was gonna be my top one, but I'll figure something else out. But Revenge of the Sith. We've talked about this a lot. Phantom Menace was, good. I liked Attack of the Clones better than Bobby did. But the
Okay.
one thing
Well,
that has
okay, hold on. Now, when you're saying Revenge of the Sith, I'm sorry, real quick. Are you saying that this is better than
The other two.
You're saying better. It's the best of the prequels.
Right. But
Okay.
one thing that Bob knows, Derek, is that in the last, when did it come out? Almost 20 years ago. I have been very consistent on one thing, that those 2 other movies were done to build the third one.
I mean, it is
To see
because
Darth
where
Vader.
you're going. I mean,
To see Darth Vader. That's why we had it.
okay. I
And you
mean,
had to tell the other stories to get to Darth Vader and to see how he became Darth Vader. And I just think that movie is so great. And I love at the end, I remember seeing it with my mom and sister in the theater, and I'd seen it, I think, with Bob, and I saw it a bunch of times. And I remember my mom said, she was like, oh my God, I can picture this going into the original movie, the way they did it.
you
And-
watched it to watch Yoda fight. Don't lie to me.
No, I loved all of it. I loved all of it. I think it was a much better movie than the others.
You
And
have to watch Yoda fight in the second one to get him to face Palpatine. That's how that worked.
and I love that. I love that. That's my favorite part of the second one, is that whole
Yeah.
fight.
It's a good one.
Yeah, and so I just thought the third Revenge of the Sith was awesome.
All right.
What
That's
do you guys
fair.
think? What do you guys think?
That's fair.
Well, if we're comparing it to the prequels,
Yeah.
then yeah, and I would even say it's better than the original Star Wars. So at least I think so. But yeah,
it's a fair take.
yeah, I'm gonna agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Derek, you go ahead. Let's finish this up.
All right. This last one is actually a shout out to my kids. Somehow this came on not too long ago. And I don't know why, but I thought it was really creative and well written. Toy Story 2.
That's so funny. I was just looking at it and I was like,
Yeah.
I agree with you.
It's a really well written film. I
love
sat back and I was thoroughly enjoying myself. It was great. I had a ball.
Charlie and I watch it all the time.
Yeah, it's
All the time.
it's such a good movie.
Except the part when they go back and tell the story of Jessie losing her person.
All right.
That's the only part I don't like.
All right, fine. But I have zero complaints about that film. And the first Toy Story was also a good story, but it was more about the animation than anything else.
Yeah.
Just how cool that looked. Toy Story 2 was a well-written, creative film.
Yeah.
And that was, and it had the animation to boot too. So I'm a big fan of it. Still am.
I agree. Bob, what do you think?
Yeah, Toy Story 2 is better.
Yeah. That's a great movie. It's
Mhm.
definitely great. All right, Bob, what's your last one?
I'm torn between two to
Okay.
say.
Wait,
Uh,
I have
Tell
two
us
in
both.
mind.
Go
wanna
ahead and
see if
say.
I'm-
I'm just curious if
I
you're
want
right.
to see if I'm right. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to say it's a tie between either Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, or the second Captain America.
Okay, you got the second Captain America on there.
Oh,
Um, okay, but Josh, I will let you talk about that one since that's what you were gonna think. And you know that pains me to say that because that's actually my favorite Marvel movie. No. I'm gonna go on to my next one because you want to talk about that one. So I'm gonna say Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, the second film in the Caesar trilogy.
That's a good
I think
one.
that is
too.
a better film than Rise of the Planet of the Apes. They took the CGI and made it even better. Andy Serkis delivers a great performance as Caesar. I mean, he's fantastic in that. The storyline is pretty good. And then anytime you got these apes riding on a horse with shooting machine guns and riding after tanks, that is fantastic.
It's awesome.
Yeah, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is better than Rise of the Planet of the Apes. And I'm sure you have not seen that one, have you, Josh?
I don't think I.
Okay, so no, you haven't seen that one. And then
Still
Jared,
no.
yeah, you agree with me, right?
Oh yeah, no.
Okay, yeah, it's better.
And it's those movies. They really deserve a lot more credit for what they are. I mean, those movies are pretty dang well done, all of them. And you're right. The Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is better. It's a better film.
And it's funny you mentioned the Two Towers. I actually thought about putting the Two Towers on my list because I really love the Two Towers. But when I go back and I rewatch them lately, I found myself kind of favoring the Fellowship of the Ring the most.
Is that right?
Just simply because I think it's a well-made film. I love Boromir's death scene. That is one of my favorite scenes in or favorite death scenes of any movie. That's a scene I can actually watch multiple times. I love that sequence. So I really thought about but I really did consider putting the Two Towers on my list. But then when I thought about it, I was like, well, I kind of like the Fellowship better. So
the only reason I said that it could make this list is, I mean, the Two Towers is a great film.
Battle of Helm's Deep is awesome.
That's why I was going to give it to that, because that is unreal.
Right.
Yeah,
that is so well done.
And then I love the sequence where Gandalf shows up on the hill and he's riding down, and the whole army's riding after him.
Beautiful visual.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yes. And the music is wonderful during that sequence too. Mm-hmm. So, yep. Well done. All right, Josh, yeah.
I mean, I thought of another one as we were talking. But
no, you better talk about Captain America. I gave that one to you.
Okay. You got to talk about it now.
No. If you want to talk about another one, that's fine.
No. I'll do both of them. Captain America: Winter Soldier, fantastic, much better than the original Avenger one. Bobby and I have talked about the fighting is amazing.
Yeah.
So much better than the other one. Love seeing Robert Redford, in there. Thought he had great chemistry in there. Love the Winter Soldier. Loved the chemistry between Steve Rogers and Black Widow.
Yeah, good team.
Just such a good movie, so much better. I get, why you had to do the original Avenger and all that, but they could have made it, better. I was kind of bummed about Red Skull, the fact that they got rid of him that fast. But I would say, yeah, definitely that one. And then the other one I was thinking about is Superman 2. I don't know.
Well, I'm actually going to say that's on par with the first. I don't think it's better, but it holds up.
I like that ending. I like that, and I guess, Bob, I'm talking about the Richard Donner cut, probably. I think.
Oh, I've been working out.
I mean, there's so many parts, like you say it all the time, Derek, about things you can watch over and over again.
Yeah.
But it's very close because I can watch that helicopter scene over and over again from the original, but I can also watch the breaking the hand scene, in the second one.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's very close. But for me, yeah, I would definitely say Winter Soldier is a much better sequel than the first one.
Obviously, I agree with you because I passed that one on to you. The thing with Winter Soldier is that, to me, it actually made Captain America a legitimate figure in the MCU because First Avenger, I mean, I enjoyed First Avenger, but it wasn't anything spectacular. I mean, it was a good origin film.
Yeah.
It was solid, but it wasn't anything spectacular. And then I thought they really neutered Captain America when it came to the first Avengers film. And I didn't like the costume and whatnot. And all of a sudden, Winter Soldier comes out, and he is, after that film, the second most important character, and in the MCU.
He that film ran like a juiced up Bourne Identity movie, like those Jason Bourne movies. It ran like that. It was a great take on how to do one of those.
No, that's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so very cool, Bob. I think that was a great idea by you.
Yeah, and I still think we should do an all of us watch an underrated movie, and then we review it on the show. We would just we'll talk about it off camera, but I like one of us come up with what we consider to be an underrated movie. All three of us will watch it, and then we'll come back and talk about it the next week.
Yeah.
I think that would be fun because there's some good movies that either we haven't heard about that maybe one of you have watched that we haven't, or it's just been forever since we've seen it. And if we go back and watch it now, do we still feel the same?
Sounds
like
good.
I already know which movie I'm going to have you guys watch.
Oh, can we find out here?
No, you guys will have no idea. I mean, if you want me to tell you, I'll tell you now.
Yeah, tell us.
Okay, the movie I would want you guys to go back and watch is The Mask of Zorro.
Okay, deal.
Oh, love that movie.
See,
love that.
How long has it been since you've seen it?
I don't know, but I know it like really well.
It's been a long time.
Would you go back and watch it? And does it still hold up? How would you feel about it now? I think that is a movie that is very underrated. In fact, I think that might be a good topic for next week. Watch it during the week. You have all week to watch it. It's supposed to. It's on Hulu.
Oh, it is.
Okay, we can find it. Yeah,
that was such a good movie.
Yes, and that's a movie that did not tear it up at the box office, but it did well enough with. I think it made like 95 million domestically, but it did well internationally, and so it did well enough to get a sequel. I don't think the sequel's any good, but The Mask of Zorro, the first one, that is a fantastic movie. I think it'd be fun for us to watch it and then talk about it next week.
Wait a minute, are you sure it's on Hulu?
It's on Hulu.
Okay, I'll watch it. Love that movie.
I know it's on Hulu because I looked it up.
Okay, love it. De La Vega.
Anthony Hopkins Anthony Hopkins is.
So we'll make that the first movie, and then after we watch that, next week, one of y'all can come up with another one that we'll have to watch.
Okay.
So that's your homework this week. That and I think Agatha comes out this week. So,
oh Lord,
I just remembered I had something to do. Sorry.
You're watching it.
No, you're watching it. Sit down.
My guess is they're probably going to only be like 30-minute episodes.
Oh
and they're
no,
only releasing two of them.
They're not going an hour with those. No.
Yeah, no, and they're only going to be two of them that are released. So
it'll be an hour. They don't because we don't want to see it. They'll be an hour.
Now, my understanding is that they're not going to be very long.
Just to spite me.
Exactly. Thank you.
That's the homework this week. The Mask of Zorro and Agatha.
Awesome. All right, guys. Let's wrap up here. Bob, where can we find you?
Well, you can find me on my YouTube channel. Was It Good? It's easier to search me. Bob Loves Movies, all one word. I'm up to 719 subscribers, so it's growing. And you can also find me on X and on Criticless. And all of our social media will be in the description below.
Nice. Derico, where can we find you?
I choose to play Not Pull on Facebook and LinkedIn.
Okay. And you can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. I'm the family man of the Valley. I'm a realtor here in Southern California. So, guys, great show tonight. And we will watch that movie for next week. And we'll catch you guys next week as well. Have a great week.
Later,
See you all
everybody.
later.
Later.
Bye.